Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Tom?
Lionel.
Is this the first podcast since the last podcast?
Let me check the big board here. Column A, row 3. Yes, it is. It's the last one. It's the first one since the last one.
Perfect. You insurance guys, you always have spreadsheets going and all that sort of stuff.
Spreadsheets, whiteboards, you name it. You got to keep track of it all. You can't manage what you don't measure.
Oh, that sounds like some sort of insurance thing. Is it, or is that just a life thing?
I think it's a combination insurance / business thing.
Okay. How did you get into insurance to begin with? Was it like the first thing you went to do after? Like, I know you went to college for university to work in the government and in international espionage and intrigue and stuff like that. But I forget, how did you end up in the insurance game?
Well, when I left Vermont and moved back to Pennsylvania, I needed a job, and my cousin at the time worked for the insurance company that I now work at, and mentioned to me that they were hiring a class. They were hiring for a class of claim examiners, and it was a good place to work, good pay, good benefits. And so I applied. I got called for an interview and took the test, and they offered me a job. And April 20th of 1992, I started, and I've been there ever since.
Perfect. So you got lucky. You got into something right off the bat that you enjoyed for going forward.
Yep. Yeah. It's been a very challenging and rewarding career. There's been a lot of twists and turns, but it's been, and the company has been very good to me. I certainly can't complain. I mean, I've been able to put a roof over my head. I've been able to put my kids through school. So, I have no complaints.
Been able to build an a totally dedicated building for your model railroad.
Right. Yep. That's true.
Yeah. That was probably one of the things you wrote down on your original resume. I'd like to build a building specifically for a model railroad.
Right. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Of building a large model railroad on your dime?
Yeah. I've been noticed. As always. I like how you post steadily on Facebook, because I think a lot of people get. You got like 1,100 members now.
Yeah,
Holy
we broke that 1,000 mark a while ago, and every now and then, they trickle in every so often. So,
Tom.
Yeah, it's.
I was just going to say the title is Tom Jacobs, 1970s Reading Company, Reading Division, and HO Scale.
Yeah.
Why did it stop being the cross line?
Well, because the cross line was more of an informal name for the line that I'm modeling. The Reading called it the Reading Division. And so, I was kind of thinking of, Uncle Dave and how his layout is the Onondaga cutoff. And, the Reading Division just sounded more prototypical to me. Well, obviously, because it is what the prototype called it, but it just sounded a little bit more prototype based, right. More formal, I guess.
And was the Reading still like? Do you have memories of the Reading Railroad?
Very, very, very few. I mean, I have memories. I mean, I lived in Reading my whole life. I grew up there. I have memories of the railroad in Reading my whole life. But Conrail happened when I was just a few months before I turned 6. So a lot of my earliest memories, like I remember riding the train to Philly, and it was the Reading still at the time when I was a little kid. But then I remember more the transition from the Reading to Conrail and starting to see more of the Conrail blue engines and the blue cabooses. And you still saw a lot of, Reading freight equipment and everything because it just like you did all the other roads that got folded into Conrail because it took a while for everything to get painted. Um, but it was more of my memories were in my like grade school years and then my teenage years. It was much more Conrail. Um, that I have more memories of Conrail, running over the former Reading tracks in the Reading area. It wasn't really until I got into the hobby in seriousness back in the early 90s that I started learning about more of the real history beyond what I had heard as a kid from my grandmother and my great grandfather, who both my grandfather and my great grandfather had worked in the Reading shops, and there were a lot of other people connected to the family that worked for the railroad and things like that. So it wasn't until the 90s that I started getting like real history apart from what I knew, from my family, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Sure. But were you kind of like most people where like by the age of 5 or 6, you were interested in trains and, it just,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I was into trains from little on up. I mean, even I we never had the train under the tree when I was a kid, but I had the little trains on the little like wooden and plastic tracks and stuff that you would push around. Yeah, I had that stuff, and we would go to tourist railroads like Strasburg and stuff. And like I said, my grandmother still had a pass because she was the widow of a railroader, so we would ride the train to Philly a lot for free.
right.
Um, so yeah, I was always interested. I'm like everybody else. I was interested in trains
Yeah.
up until my teenage years, cars, girls, and then came back to it in the 90s.
Right. It'd be fascinating if we could ever figure out what it is. If we could ever figure out what the fascination of railroads is for people, I'd love to be able to figure that out one day.
It would be an interesting question to really get an answer to because it's an almost universal thing, right? At least at some point, even if it turns out to be a passing fancy, at some point everybody is fascinated or has an affinity for trains.
Yeah, and then
Um,
and then those of us who are deeply into the hobby, it seems like once the bug grabs you, whether you're 5 or 6 or 12 or 13 or 21 or whatever, once that bug grabs you, it's like you just can't. You're in. You're sucked in and you can't get out. And it's like it's some people it just absolutely they're in all the way, and some people it's a passing fancy. But the ones that are in, man, they are in. The people that are fascinated by model railroading and rail fanning and get the most out of it, that that once they're in, they're in. Anyway, which kind of leads me to the point of this introduction for this show, which, by the way, is sponsored by that company, that makes all those trains. They have RDCs, and they have a steam locomotive, a D10, and then the Rapido trains.
your fast track to model railroading fun.
You didn't know that one night you sang that little jingle that it would turn into an actual jingle.
I did not.
Written by Tom Jacobs.
Right. I do like the professional versions better.
Yes.
I mean I enjoy I was proud of myself for coming up with that off the cuff like that, but the professional ones that David Hyde arranged for us are much more entertaining.
They're awesome. I mean, the fact that he went to all that trouble and got people to do it, and I mean, they're so professional and so good.
Yep.
And I told the story, like, I wasn't 100% sure if it was anything Jason would be interested in. Jason Tron, the owner of Rapido Trains.
Oh, you're fast tracked him on over having fun.
Got to get both jingles in.
I was waiting. I was waiting for you to finish the sentence.
Well, you know go ahead.
No, I am not at all surprised that it's something that Jason would be fine with, because if you've ever read any of the instructions in a Rapido owner's manual or read their email newsletter, they have a very heavy dose of tongue in cheek in everything they do. So, I'm not surprised at all.
The creepy part, I was in the shower there the other day, and I heard myself going, "Could be N, could be HO. The fast track to fun is Rapido." I'm thinking, holy moly, we got a hit here.
I think that's a conversation you might want to have with your healthcare provider.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so what we're doing is we're doing an introduction to a show that we did with Bradd Williamson. It was a week ago that we did his interview, and now this week he's back on again because he contacted me about joining the NMRA, and he wanted to have a text conversation, and it's like, I don't do text conversations. I said, well, why don't we just, he says, oh, well, we could, I said, why don't we just do a podcast? And I thought it was going to be like 40 minutes long, and it turned out to be an hour and a half. So then
text conversations don't translate to an audio podcast very well.
No. And after a while you get tired, and I don't type. I'm a 2-thumb guy. I'm not a fast.
Yeah. Your knuckles start to hurt. Yeah.
I'm not even with, you can talk into the phone. It does, you'll say, on Tuesday, oh, you want, and your phone will say on Thursday. And it's like, no, Tuesday. Turkey sandwiches? No, Tuesday.
Right. The thing that annoys me about that is when I try to do that, when I try to do the talk to text, like if I stop talking, it's not smart enough to know that, that's the end of a sentence and put a period. So like you have to like say your punctuation, like, hey, comma, Lionel, comma, how are you? Question mark.
I know.
It's like you're talking into one of those, those old dictaphone things or something.
So anyways, we had a conversation with Bradd Williamson. You joined in. Bruce the Mailboy was there, and it was all about joining the NMRA. And by the end of it, that you two guys had decided that if one guy joins, the other guy will join. And my take on the whole thing, my take on the whole NMRA thing is people shouldn't expect that much out of having a membership. You can go to conventions and stuff, but really at this point, we're just trying to support the hobby. And, like a lot of people are like, we were talking to Lauren James the other night, and he was going on about this and that, and the standards weren't right. And I said, just join, just join and figure it out. Just support. We got to support our little doodad, our little organization. Anyways, that's what the show's about. And you were there, and you joined.
I did. And
it turned out you and Bradd are in the same division or something, isn't it?
Yeah. The Susquehanna division that Bradd and I are both members of. It encompasses a really big swath of central and northeast Pennsylvania. So even though Bradd and I live, several hours apart, we're in the same division.
All right. I got one more question, then we got to go. This yard you're building is massive.
Oh, it is, and it's turning out so nice. I was out in the barn tonight with James. We had our weekly Thursday night work session, and we figured out, I haven't posted this yet, but because I just came in from the barn, but we figured out where the coaling tower is going to go and where the rip track is going to go. We put that stuff in. We figured that out tonight and started laying the track for that.
And you also figured out that the yard will hold 632 cars.
We haven't done that yet. Actually, James said tonight he was looking at it and eyeballing, and he said the yard will by his estimation with just the track we have down now, it would probably hold about 200 cars.
Holy mackerel!
So,
and what kind of an operating system are you going to use? Like, are you going to use car cards or?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm going to use car cards and waybills, and I actually started for the trains that I already have made up that we have sitting in staging tracks in Rutherford and Allentown. I actually started making car cards for the cars that are on the layout. I started with just the plain old, empty car card, and then I'll do the waybills later. But you got to start by having a card for each car on the layout. So I've started that process, just to do the, to start the setup process of everything.
I'm a car card fan. I know some people don't like them, but I'm a car card fan. I like the little waybills and the car cards. I think
there's a lot that you can do with it, and a lot of people use those 4-cycle waybills that are, they were originally made by Old Line Graphics. Now Micromark has them. But there's also people that actually take it one step further, and they make their own car cards and waybills, and the formatting and the look of them is very much based on what a prototype waybill would look like an actual, railroad waybill. And like Tony Thompson is an SP modeler, and he's had a bunch of articles printed, like in Model Railroad Hobbyist and other areas, other publications about, having your waybills be more prototypical. And Ted Pamperin is another one that does that, where, you'll have, you just slide different waybills in depending on where the car is going, and they do it in such a way that the waybills are single use, but the car can more or less go anywhere. So it's not like if by using those 4-cycle ones, they repeat themselves every fourth time, right? So it's like, oh, okay, here comes the flat car with the tractors on it. That's going to the team track. Now with the single use waybills, it takes more work, like in between sessions to restage and whatnot, but you can have more variety and limit the repetition by doing it that way. So again, it's all how much effort you want to put into it and how prototypical you want to be.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to have a fantastic layout. Holy mackerel.
Well, as much process we've been making on this yard over the past few weeks, we're just probably in the next couple days, we've actually started the wiring, and I think we're going to finally connect. I think we're finally going to connect over the next couple of days. We're going to connect power to the tracks. So by next week, we may even be able to run into what we've built so far. So that'll be. But I can see the finish line of basic, track benchwork wiring construction. I think by the end of the summer, I think we'll have everything connected, and that will be a red letter day. I've got my golden spike here from Mick Shea that's sitting in the desk drawer waiting for the day we have the golden spike ceremony, and then we can actually operate it for real.
I've had this thought about, I was going to do have a chit chat with Scott Lister and just have a chit chat with him, and as a podcast, because there's so many pictures and so much stuff to talk to him about. I thought maybe if it was just him and me, we could really, drill down. And I'm thinking the same thing listening to you talk. I bet you and I could do a whole hour and a half of just talking about this.
Well, I love to talk, and I certainly love to talk about the layout.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay. I think we'll put that on the list of things to do, because I know people would enjoy listening to it, and I would enjoy asking the questions. But that's it. We got to stop.
No, happy to.
We chewed up.
We're going to have a show on top of a show.
Yeah, exactly. We got to stop right now. So this is Bradd Williamson trying to decide about joining the NMRA, and everybody talking to him about it. And it's actually a pretty interesting podcast. So take it away, Tom.
Subway chimes, go!
Maybe you could get Kelly to do that.
Oh.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. I was going to compliment you about today's show, but man.
That was on the outside corner, and he stood there like a house at the side of the road and watched that one go by.
This is today's show. What are you talking about? You're on a show. You're on a show, aren't you?
In the real world, it was that Microtrans when I was listening to the 37 part trilogy, or the 37 part of Mike May. Mike Mays.
And part 4 is where we get to. There was no bear on the Polar Express.
Yes,
polar bear.
And nobody said anything to me for like three.
I was trying to figure out what the hell you were talking about because
I never seen. I was thinking, if you look at it, like I said on the old Coke commercials with the bear and the Coke, look very similar to the images they have for the Polar Express. So I just thought of it was a bear and a conductor.
That's subliminal. Program.
Yeah. I'd like to buy the world a Coke
and ride upon the train.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I keep talking about it, they'll think that I'm insane.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
I don't know if I can find that on YouTube, Bruce.
Oh, okay.
You have to start doing some
put some product up on YouTube.
Yeah, I thought you were in the barn there. Yeah, put the product on the YouTube. Put product on your hair.
There you
go. Tom, I thought you said you were in the barn.
I was, but I came into the house realizing that well, number one, Kelly twisted my arm, but I realized I could continue with most of what I was doing here in the house. I have a cutting mat on my office desk, so I can continue with the preparation steps of my project, and then I can continue on after this is over.
Perhaps, so it sounds like I'm not the only one that loves the sound of their own voice.
well, to be fair to Tom, we did tell him he sounded like he was in a tin can. Said, I won't come. Then we said, no, you got to come. It won't be a party without you.
Well, yeah, and I said, he sent me I'm on my phone, and I went, no phone.
Yeah,
I was very blunt. No phone. I'm blunt about the audio. The audio is
no phone for you.
No phone for you. No podcast for you. How does this sound? Crappy. No podcast for you. So I have
interview $3.
Interview. Yeah. So I actually got Tom in as a last minute addition because I thought if I don't, it'll sound like we're just it's 3 against 1, and it's not.
Right.
This is Bradd sent me Bradd Williamson. Are you here, Bradd Williamson?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Present.
All
right. Brad's a physics teacher in high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. I spent a lot, and I never went to physics. So what is physics exactly?
Well, it's the study of motion, energy. There's a lot of different, like we get into electricity and magnetism and nuclear physics. Sometimes it encompasses a pretty broad scope of seemingly different things, but they are all related.
So magnetism, like as in picking up the babes?
Don't I wish?
Distance equals rate times time. Force equals mass times acceleration.
You got it.
All those fun equations.
Yeah.
So Bradd sent me a message earlier today. I have no idea if we're on the Patreon channel or the free channel. I guess we'll find out when it's broadcast.
Right on.
Because if it's on the free channel, Bruce and I will have to do an intro.
We can always do that.
Yeah. So, and an outro maybe.
Intro, outro, intro, between tro.
That's broadcasting talk. chatter.
Yes.
So Brad, can I reveal our personal conversation from earlier today?
Sure. No problem at all.
All right. So Brad said to me, he says, I used to be able to fit into a 44 gene, but I can't anymore. And he wanted to know my secrets for having a terrific body.
I've been dying to know that. Yes.
Oh, come on now. That's not true. So Brad says to me, I want to have a conversation with you about joining the NMRA.
Mm.
And I said, oh, my signal's breaking up. I can't hear you.
I'm going on. Can't hold it, Captain.
Yeah, I'm going under a bridge. I can't hear you.
And then there was something about go away, right?
Yeah. So I said, here's something Brad's going to learn. So he said, I said, sure. Hey, and then I said, hey, we could even redo it as record it and do it just right as a podcast. And he said, oh, I was going to text you. And then I never replied to that because I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm going to have a long, I hate long texting conversations. I'm pretty much a 2 thumbs up guy. And then let's move along.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind for future reference.
Yeah. So then I said, well, because I've said before on the podcast, when someone was pointing out that it was the time I was fighting with Uncle Dave or arguing with Uncle Dave, that there was too much of me and not enough train talk. And then I realized that in the originally the way I started this podcast, this is nothing more than my recorded conversations. Mm. And I thought, well, this is a perfect example of that because Brad wanted to talk to me about joining the NMRA. And then I said, hey, why don't we record it and have a lively discussion? And then I said, hey, I'll bring in Bradd Williamson because Bruce is a member of the NMRA.
Indeed, I am.
I'm a huge supporter of the NMRA.
Yes.
And then I thought, if there's a lull in the program, we can rely on Kelly to not ask a question.
Perfect planning there.
Oh, God. I thought you were asking me on because Scott wasn't available.
No, I asked you. No, don't tell it. Don't ever tell Scott I asked you before him.
Oh, no.
This part will be edited out.
Yeah, this part will be edited out. Scott will never hear that.
He'll hear a bunch of beep, 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 beep.
And then I thought to myself, okay, now we got 3 guys that belong to the NMRA and 1 guy that doesn't, and he's considering it, but he's not sure that it's worth the value. And then I thought, well, it would be even better if we got somebody else that didn't belong to the NMRA to be part of the discussion to kind of balance it out. And hard part wasn't available. So in his last minute desperation, I sent a message to Queso and said, hey, you want to join us?
And I always come through.
Yeah, that's right.
Boy.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
And I was listening today, Queso. Now, Queso, you got to listen to the undertones of my comments here.
Uh-oh.
Well, no, it's not. Uh-oh. Why does everybody go, uh-oh? There's a lot of times I say good stuff. No, you got to just listen you got to look for the secret, or what is it when you're trying to,
the subtext.
The subtext, yeah. So I listened to your interview from Springfield today with the Reading Historical Society.
Yep.
I wish I'd known their layout was there. I would have loved to have seen it. And, man, I felt like calling you up and saying, well, welcome to the wonderful world of podcasting. Because that was a bit of you had to go deep for that one to get that one to work. I could hear in your voice going, okay. So what color did you
paint? That one. and the thing is, I mean, I used to be the president of Reading Tech, and so I've known Karen and Dwayne for, my gosh, I've known Dwayne for more than 25 years, and he's usually a pretty good conversationalist, and Karen the same. But yeah, that was a little challenging to get them to engage.
Well, Karen was nervous at the start.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
You were just searching for questions because there was one point, I don't know, 5-6 minutes in, you go, okay. So, why did you paint the legs green? Dwayne, they both sounded, it turned out great. It was like 18 minutes and it ended up being great, but it was fun listening to you having to
around.
Take all your podcasting experience and put it to good use. That Dwayne guy, I think that would be a great interview to interview Dwayne. He's the president, eh?
He's the president. He actually succeeded me. He was the one of the vice presidents when I was president, and he's been president for I think since 2002, so more than 20 years. And he's a professional railroader.
Mm.
He works for the Reading and Northern. He is he's a track and maintenance away manager. So he supervises the crews that keep the track in good shape, and when there's new track to be built, his crew does it. So
I apologize. Queso, I apologize.
For what?
So you say Dwayne succeeded you?
Yes.
That was a pretty low bar for him to cross.
It was.
Oh.
It was.
I apologize first. Come on. I apologize in advance.
Well, it was, honestly, it was, I had 2 terms as president, and it was right around the time, it was shortly after when Deb and I bought the house, and, we were, starting a family together or blending our families, I should say. And we just decided that it really wasn't something that I really had time to invest in and, do the job the way it needed to be done. And so I opted, not to run again. And so the torch passed to Dwayne, and he's been doing a fabulous job ever since. He, under his leadership, the museum ground was acquired. They've acquired a bunch more pieces of Reading equipment, and it's been there's been a lot of success under his leadership, him and his executive board.
Yeah. Karen came up to me later and said she was thrilled that you interviewed her, and said, Dwayne, ever since Dwayne's been president, we got our own place now and got a lot more equipment.
Yep.
See, I went one too many times there. Okay, so
tried to stretch that double into a triple and got tagged out at third.
Yep, exactly. Never even had a chance. Okay, Brad. So here's where we're going to get started. So you said to me you wanted to talk to me about joining the NMRA.
Yep, I did. That's correct.
And so what kind of let's start off with the obvious. Have you ever been a member of the NMRA?
I have not. No, I've never been.
Okay. And did you send that check in? I asked you to make out to cash.
Yeah, it's in the mail.
All right. So why do you think you want to join the NMRA?
Well, there's a couple reasons. First of all, from listening to the podcast, and you've had the president Gordy on a few times. He just seems like a really, really good guy to me, and I think he's really interested in improving things. And just from what I've heard him say while he's on the podcast and things that you guys have said about him, I believe he's got the organization headed in a good direction. I've never been involved myself, but I have witnessed things, and I know, and I'm not saying that I hold these things against all NMRA members, because that's not the case at all. But there were a couple of things that I've witnessed through my years in the hobby that kind of turned me off a little bit with just some things that I saw. But like I said, since I started listening to the podcast and heard what you guys have said about it and listened to Gordy, that got me pretty interested in it. And also, there are some of my good friends in the Iron City N scale are members. Mike DeCenzi, Jim Hoffer, Kevin Squire, and Tom Catalano just joined up. So, being able to be in that with those guys would be fun too. So that's kind of what has led me to be more interested in joining up, if that makes sense.
makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people are joining because of Gordy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's very welcoming. He's very approachable. I think that's the thing that's different more than from the past, is how approachable the actual president of the organization is.
Yeah, he's gone out of his way to make himself approachable. Just look at some of the things he's done at, that tri-region or whatever it was convention they had last year, where they had all sorts of time slots to come and meet Gordy, and even at the national convention, things like that. He's gone out of his way to make himself available to talk to the members.
And yeah, I think, doesn't he like regularly sit in on like division meetings and things via Zoom?
I think he's slowed down a bit, but he's usually on 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe more meets a week or so. And considering he's from we are in the Eastern time zone, he's in a 5-hour time zone different from us. So
right,
some of these things are taking place when he should be in bed and things like that. But he is always very active, getting involved with the various regions and divisions, dropping in and having a chat. And he's certainly very active in the British region and the things they do.
And that approachability thing was big for me, because when I mentioned I witnessed some things that I didn't particularly care for. It was people who did seem aloof and unapproachable, especially to young kids, which is kind of a I don't know if the right word is a calling for me, but I work with kids every day, and I do think it's important for guys who have been in the hobby for a long time, like we have, to try to get more young people as much as we can into this, so that the hobby continues to do as well as it's currently doing.
Brad, can I ask you a question and get an honest answer?
Absolutely.
You promise?
I promise.
Because you're a high school teacher, so like you say, you've been working with kids you're basically your whole adult life, been trying to improve. Do you think you'd still be a teacher if I'd been one of your pupils?
I don't know. You mentioned, I was listening to the podcast today, and you mentioned something about how you said something about your 8th grade teacher, and you said that I guess it was because the whiz would get frustrated with you because he had to repeat stuff. And when you said both of them had that in common, I'm wondering if there's not some other common denominator there that might cause them both to do that. No, Lionel, I'm sure I would have enjoyed having you as a student.
I think you would have packed it in by the end of November.
No, he'd find out you have a truck and he'd get plywood for his lab.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's perfect.
So, me personally, and I'm going to take the point counterpoint. I'm going to take counterpoint. Me personally, I do think that it's too expensive to belong to the NMRA. However, I kind of cast that aside because I believe that it's the place to be. Like, it's like the umbrella we all live under. And like, I think that, I truly believe that everybody that's involved with the NMRA now is trying to do the best for the organization. Mm. So I kind of I kind of go, yeah, whatever it costs. Like it's not a crazy amount of money. It's, I think, what, $60 or $70 a year or something like that for, and I think, I think that one of the things with the NMRA is you get out of it what you put into it. It's kind of a weird spot right now. I mean, with digital, with social media and so many people finding each other that way, but I don't think we can turn our back on the NMRA personally.
Well, and that's another one of the big reasons for me to join. I have just enjoyed so much over the last 2 to 3 years, meeting people through social media and other places, meeting up with you guys, getting to know all of my really good friends in the Iron City N scale. I see it as another, possible gateway to meet even more people, which is, that's kind of what it's all about, the camaraderie and friendships that can be built. So,
and I'm kind of assuming you've never been to an NMRA convention. Would that be a fair statement?
That's definitely accurate. I never have been.
And
do you go to any of your division meets or regional meets?
I have not. Nope, I've never. I do. That's one of the things that, if I do decide to take the jump, but before, if I decide that I'm headed in that direction, I do want to try that, just to see what it's like. Because I would be in. Let me think now. I would be in the mid. Or wait, is it the mid-eastern region? I think would be where I am.
I think Pennsylvania is in the mid-east region.
Yeah, because where do you live? You live like in Split Lip, Pennsylvania, or something.
Oval.
Oh, Oval. That's right.
Close. But it's right next door.
I knew it was somewhere around there.
Yeah, but the funny part of it is, and this is one of the things I wanted to ask you guys. I'm like right near the dividing line because I live in Lycoming County, which would be in the mid-eastern region. Clinton County, which is literally 2 miles from my house. The county line bisects the valley that I live in. So 2 miles from my house is Clinton County, which would be in the mid-central region, which that is where all my buddies from the Pittsburgh area are in that. Do they allow you to join a different region than what you live in?
Absolutely, you can. When you sign up, you'll be assigned a region based on your zip code and where you live. Yeah. But there's nothing there that says you cannot partake of activities in the next region or division over. That's what you want to do, and that's where your friends are. That's absolutely positively an acceptable thing to do. And I know over years I've been members of various regions when I've been moving around and working. So my home region is NFR, but I was a member of the Pacific Northwest region when I was working out west a lot, and when I was working down in the States, I was a member of the Thousand Lakes region, the Twin Cities division. So there's nothing that says you cannot participate in the activities of another region. But I say when you join up based on your zip code and things like that, you'll be assigned a region and division. But if all your buddies are hanging around, you just you can contact that region and say, hey, I want to get involved in that division, and they'll look after you.
How would that work, Bruce? Then, because that's actually I have a similar situation for me in that based on where I live, I would be in the Susquehanna division, but I have a lot of my modeling buddies are closer to Philadelphia, and they're part of the Philadelphia division.
Yep.
So, and I get that, you can participate in any activity if you're, as long as you're an NMRA member. But how would that work from an achievement program standpoint? Like
the achievement program, they actually address that. You typically have what is your home region, which is where things are done. But there are allowances that if you want to participate in the achievement program and do your work through another division or region than your home one, you can do that. You just need to let them know, and you can because there's examples. Some guy may live totally one side of his region, which is miles away from everybody else in the region, but he's right next door to the other region. So that there are allowances that you can indicate on your AP stuff which region you would like to be working with for your AP program.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Tom, that's the region I would be in too, or the division I would be in too, is the Susquehanna division. That comes up here as well.
Well, Dave, we'll sign up both of you tonight.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It's best to send your money directly to me, and I'll make sure it gets forwarded.
Yeah,
make the check out in cash.
I did that, and I said it's in the mail already.
I'm looking here on their website, and the Susquehanna division has a pretty big footprint. It's most of the central part of PA.
Yeah, it is. I was looking at that earlier today too.
You guys are putting a lot of thought into this. You're putting a lot of thought into it anyways, Brad.
Yeah, I tend. The thing that's really holding me back is, if I do decide to do that, the cost that I'm going to have to, I won't be able to be a Patreon member anymore. No, I'm just teasing.
Oh, wow.
That's
totally just if that was true, then I wouldn't be joining the NMRA. I could tell you that.
What does this button here say? Block?
Eject and block? What's that on?
Next time you talk to Uncle Dave, tell him that I said that. I'll have to stop being one of his Patreon members if I join the NMRA.
I think one of the neatest things about being a member of the NMRA, with all the different divisions and regions, you have access to a lot of the stuff that they publish, that they put on the website and stuff.
And particularly this day and age, most regions and some of the divisions, they all have pretty good publications that are usually available for anybody to look at. You get on their web pages and you can, get their latest newsletter. Twin Cities Division is one. They have a good publication, The Crossing Gate. Plus, they also do their monthly podcasts and things like that. So when you're a member, you can, even if you're not a member, you can look at all that stuff. It's most of it's out there. You can access without. But there's a lot of good regional publications out there.
Yeah, I was just looking at the one for the Susquehanna Division earlier today. I saw one of their, I don't remember what they call it, but yeah, they do have a newsletter. So that is interesting.
Sounds more to me like what you'd get out of it the most would be the fellowship.
I think so. Yeah,
it's kind of weird, eh? I mean, it's like in today's new world where there's so much. You're a classic example of what the new world has done for model railroading. Like you say, you were a lone wolf for 25 years, and you found the podcast, and you found the Iron City guys, and now it's completely changed. It completely changed your, as Uncle Dave says, it's a lifestyle.
That's for sure.
And it's it's made your life that much more fulfilling.
Yep.
And yeah,
well, and I even had to retrofit stuff to my layout that I'm building, because when I started building it, I was planning on me being the only one who was ever operating on it. But now I got a bunch of buddies who we've even done a few rudimentary remote sessions where those guys from the Pittsburgh area were driving trains on my layout. So it has changed things 180 degrees for me, for the better for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think what you got to expect as being a member of the NMRA is it's just like buying another locomotive. It's just part of your arsenal. It's like you shouldn't be looking for, a whole lot of changes from your day-to-day model railroading life, but you belong to the organization. It's the organization we all live under. It's what we have. And like I say, I've been plenty vocal over the years about, the cost of it, but I never stop because I want to belong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those.
Do you belong to the what is the division that you guys are in the Toronto area?
Oh, I can't tell you. Sorry.
We're Niagara Frontier Region, Central Ontario Division.
Oh, okay.
And if you're looking at the Susquehanna Division, the Walkerville Southern Railroad Steam Day is May 20th coming up, and they've got some flat cars and a steamliner and closed cars, and departures at 11 a.m. So there you go, Division 11 to ride a steam train.
That sounds awesome. I'm always up for that.
And then the MER convention is October 19th to 22nd in Altoona.
Yeah, you're not very far from Altoona, are you?
No, only about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you hit traffic. Yes.
And I bet you they'd be looking for the Iron City guys to come set up their layout.
There you go.
We actually, there's a big N scale convention that's in Altoona, and we actually we set up there last. I think that one's in September. So yeah, we were there. But this is a different convention, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, this is the regional convention. This is the Mideast Region convention.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun to. Well, the Mid Central is rails to Pittsburgh, May 4th to 7th. It might have already come and gone by the time you're listening to this. But you can go to any, like being an NMRA member is, you're a member of the whole organization, and the local conventions are just, they're open to everybody. Every division is open to everybody. Every region is open to everybody. It's like belonging to the Lions Club. Like you can go to any meeting anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not.
And I know some of them, a lot of them, it was at a time, and I think possibly, if you're not quite sure if you want to belong, there was, divisions and regions work that if they're charging a mission, they usually give a break to NMRA members. But then if you're not a member, they'll let you show up without being a member and partake. But I think you're allowed 3 times in a row. Then you got to join. But
the Keystone.
Find out and go to one of them, and if your buddies are, they'll know. And but like Lionel said, and I've been a life. I first joined when I was in my teens in the mid 70s, and
Don't mention this, Bruce. This always annoys me. Whenever you mention this,
what's that?
You're going to talk about being a life member.
I became a life member in 1980, and
what did I just say? Is my microphone not on? Can you not hear me?
No.
Murphy.
But the fellowship and friends and the camaraderie, if it's a lot of fun. That's the big draw of going to regional meets or regional conventions. And the only national I've been to is 2003 in Toronto. But Lionel's been to some national conventions, and he and his buddies have got Airbnb and rented and had a great time hanging out with each other for the convention, going on tours and things like that.
Yeah, and I don't think
it's the fellowship thing that's the real key.
Yeah, that's kind of funny for me too with the fellowship thing, because it's kind of like I already knew the people that you have the fellowship with. I can't really. I'm sure I've met people because of the NMRA years ago. I mean, that was, but ever since social media, it's kind of like you're going anyways, and these are just the conventions are really the national conventions are the real selling point, and the regional conventions. I mean, look at that Indy Junction one they had. I mean, the regional conventions are really the selling point. You can have a good time at a regional convention.
The national convention, do they spread that around different areas of the country, or do they try to have it in a central?
Yep.
Okay.
No, it's got a rotation through various areas of the country, and it's up for bid. So there's a rotation throughout the country, and then they've had at least one over in the UK. They're supposed to have one last year, the year before, but then the Commonwealth Games came to town in Birmingham, and that was the end of that.
No, I think it was the infighting, wasn't it? More than the.
No, it was because they were trying to run it at the same time those games are going on.
The Commonwealth Games decided they were coming into Birmingham, and all of a sudden, boom, nothing was available.
No, I thought it was infighting because that's why.
They told them not to because of what was going on.
They don't have any conventions after Texas listed here. Usually, they have the next 3 or 4 years listed on the website.
Detroit next year?
I don't know. It's not listed on the website.
I thought it was.
Well, it could be. It might be, but it's not listed on the website. They always put on, the next 2 or 3 years. Just like, I forgot to do something again today. Oh, well. But yeah, they usually have the next 2 or 3 years listed somewhere, but they don't on the website right now. Man, you can't beat going to a national convention.
Nah, especially the show.
Not even just the show, just the whole week of hanging around with your buddies and all the tours and whatever they have going. You can't beat it. I mean,
that's one of the things that prompted me to text you today, Lionel. The Keystone division of the mid-central region is having some sort of convention that my buddies in the Iron City N Scale, who are also NMRA members, are going to be setting up T-track modules in that, and you have to be a member in order to go to it. So that's one of the things that is because as of right now I'm not going to be going, but if I do decide to join before May, then I could attend that.
Is that May 4th and 7th?
I believe it is. Yeah.
Rails to Pittsburgh.
Yes. Yep. I'm pretty sure that's it.
They're going to Rails to Pittsburgh, and you're not going. What the heck's wrong with you, buddy? It's changed your life. Come
a chance to
on.
do it. 2023 is Grapevine, Texas. 2024 is Long Beach, and I believe 2025 is Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Michigan?
I know it's Long Beach is the next one. Yeah.
Michigan? Detroit, Michigan?
Detroit, Michigan.
Motown?
That's just
Motown, the home of rock and roll.
Hockey town.
Hockey town.
That was starting to sound a little bit like a high pressure sales pitch there for a second.
What, about going the rails to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Well, come on, man. Your buddies are going. Your buddies are going. It's changed your life. You've got all these great new friends, and you're not going because you won't pony up the $70 to belong to the.
Look, we got Tom to come out of the barn to be on the podcast. We can get you to. Become a member and go.
Tom hasn't said he'd sign up yet. He's still on the fence.
I want to sign up. I'm just lazy. No, I freely admit it. The only thing that has kept me from actually pulling the trigger has been pure, unabashed laziness. I've just had other things going on, and
you're like me.
I just haven't done it.
So the next time you're bugging me about sending you some stickers. Just think about
by the way, did you get your self-addressed stamped envelope?
No, is there one coming?
I sent it to your office.
Okay, well, I anxiously await it then. When did you send it?
Like a couple weeks ago.
No, well, maybe Barb tossed it. I don't know.
Well, now I know what happened to all those requests for the transcripts that I sent in too.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I bet that's what happened to that check too.
Yeah, exactly. So, did you send it to how did you get the office address?
I have my sources.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, don't rely on the table master because he just kind of put Lionel somewhere in Barrie and then
and you're just talking about joining if you don't want to come up with a whole amount for a full membership, they do have the rail pass.
They still have
they still have the 9-month version of the rail pass, which lets you get in as a member, and that lets you try it out.
Yeah, that's what Iron City member Kevin Squire did. He just recently signed up for that so that he can go to that thing in May.
Yeah.
So
and that lets you find out what's going on and part of the fun. And after that, you can renew and away you go.
So I think you've kind of answered one of my questions already. There are lots of other reasons to join besides the achievement program and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that, I mean, at this point, that in all honesty, doesn't really interest me too much. That may change when I'm retired. I'm pretty busy right now, but I'm going to be retired in a couple of years, so I could change my mind on that.
Yeah. Okay. Here's your Rails to Pittsburgh registration form. Basic registration is cost you $105 now because they're after March the 15th, and then $19.95 for the rail pass.
Okay.
So that will for $125, you're in the door to a convention for May 4th to 7th.
Well, and I think it's important too. I think a lot of people are kind of getting scared away that lately it seems like if you belong to the NMRA, you got to get involved in the AP, the achievement program.
No,
and
you don't have to.
I know. Can I finish my thought? Did my lips stop moving?
Wow, they got a great list of clinics in this convention.
Anyways, everybody, I get a feeling that a lot of people think that if they join the NMRA, they're going to be pressured into participating in the achievement program. And you said there you weren't, interested in that right now. Me personally, I've never been interested in it, ever.
Okay.
And I don't think I ever will be. Like I got a few of them. Bruce kept one that he never gave me. But, I've got author and I've got volunteer and dispatcher, but I have never had any interest in participating in the achievement program or becoming a master model railroad. It's not a requirement of belonging to the NMRA. It's not like you have to do it. Now, I know our friend John Doring, who's the Eastern director of the NMRA, he's a huge fan of the AP, as is Bruce is a huge fan of the AP.
Indeed.
But I'm not, and you don't have to be.
You don't have to be. And it's something, if you're interested in it, you can do it. If you're not interested, then don't do it.
Are you currently working on doing that, Bruce?
AP, I have 4 certificates right now. I have dispatcher, author, volunteer, and official. And I'm working on motive power, cars, and structures.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got 44 clinics listed for this convention.
Oh wow!
So who else going to Pittsburgh then?
Plus, I got some modeling with the master stuff. Oh, make and take, build your own T-track module. There you go. Yeah, might interest you.
Yeah, it might. Are you asking me who else going, Lionel? Mike DeCenzi's going. Jim Hoffer, Kevin Squire, and Tom Catalano are the Iron City. Jimmy, a younger fellow by the name of Jimmy Brom, who's also an Iron City member, is going to be there too.
You keep mentioning their names. I think I should start charging you per mention.
I think you should charge them. I'll give you their addresses.
Here's one. Here's a clinic perfect for you. This is a reason you should go right now, Brad. Go sign up right now. Estate Planning by Frank Giovanni.
I saw that.
Yes. Well, given the aging.
We're not aging. Yeah. It's not aging. It's changing. Maybe the NMRA is aging, but that's going to change too. Yeah. We got to figure out a way to encourage younger. We got to figure out a way to get them to stop charging so much friggin' money just to be a member of the NMRA.
Well, didn't Gordy say at some point the membership fee may go down?
They are currently in the process of looking at ways to create some efficient. The term is efficiencies to try to see what they can and cannot do as far as maybe getting the membership down. So that is something the current NMRA board is looking at. And
I vaguely remember him saying on a podcast too that's one of the reasons why they're trying to push for higher membership is because if they can get more members, then they wouldn't have to charge each member as much, maybe.
Yeah.
And didn't Gordy, what was the percentage that he said the membership was up by over the past couple? I remember him saying this. I can't remember whether it was when he stopped by the pizza party at Springfield or there was something. Maybe it was an interview that you did where he said that, I forget the number, but membership is definitely up like measurably over the past couple of years. So
the membership has increased under Gordy's leadership, but then and they've been signing up a lot of new members. Retention is the thing that we're trying to address right now. Is once you get them in the door, how do you keep them there?
Hey, if Brad goes to the convention, he'll see possibly a hard part there because Fast Tracks is going to be there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What, doing a clinic or something?
I don't know. They're on the manufacturer dealer room. It says Fast Tracks.
Wow.
And Mount Albert.
Well, there you go. And
all right, Brad, I'll make you a deal. You join, I'll join.
There you go.
Wow.
Ooh,
if you guys want to do that, go try the rail pass.
Yeah, do the rail pass.
Get in the door for the $20. See what it's all about. And then you can, it gives you 9 months, and then you can
decide.
Figure it out.
You can go right on the website and do it right there. You don't have to send a check or do anything special.
Right. And now you mentioned, I'm sorry, Overlord, but there's a registration fee for the conventions too. So your membership doesn't get you.
No, according to the convention fee was $105 for the convention, and then $19.95 will get you your cheapest NMRA membership if you're not already an NMRA member.
Gotcha.
And then there'd be your hotel and stuff on top of that, of course.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I will be sure to let you know when I join up, and we can sign up together. Then.
All right. Well, you hold me to it. I will. I'm a man of my word. If you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we should post these on the fans page when you guys.
And if I'm just like, if you want to go for just the Saturday of the convention, it's $40.
$40. Well, you probably want to go for your guys are probably going for more than just Saturday. They're probably staying overnight and the whole bit. And the other thing is too. I mean, on the one hand, I talk about the expense, but I think that's just a way of getting the membership up. I mean, this is dirt cheap when you compared to what, like, even if you take in this convention and you take in the whole weekend's costs, even including the room and food and everything and gas and blah, 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 you're probably not going to spend more than $500, including your your year's worth of membership to the NMRA. Like, you can't, most clinics or most concerts you can't go to for less than 500. You certainly can't go to a hockey game or a football game for much less than that. And so I mean, it's that in that particular way, it's pretty cheap entertainment. To spend a whole weekend with your buddies and do a whole bunch of model railroad stuff for a whole weekend.
They've got looks like about 28 layouts open for display. They got some op sessions.
at least 7 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cost thing was never the...
No, I know the cost thing was never. We're just, there's more than, believe it or not, Brad, I know this is hard for you to believe, but there's more than just you are listening to this.
Yeah, and the hotel.
Sorry. Are you sure? Maybe after you hear how it sounds, you might decide you don't want to put me on.
The hotel is $114 a night. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
No, it isn't.
And the other thing too, and I, not to take us off on a tangent here, but I will. Even though I haven't joined the NMRA and I haven't really been to any NMRA conventions or anything, I go to a handful of RPM meets, every year, and I will say, without any reservation that that this idea of fellowship and meeting other modelers and getting to talk to other modelers about what they're doing and learning from them, and you can't put a price on that. To go to a convention where somebody like a Bernie Kempinski or a Lance Minheim or a Paul Dolkos or Hunter Hewson, is presenting and sharing their techniques and sharing their knowledge, and you have the opportunity. It's not like a meet and greet when you go see a musician or something where you walk through the cattle line and they shake your hand and take the selfie and off you go. I mean, at these things, you can actually talk and have a conversation with these guys. And that's something, from a hobby perspective, that's something you really can't put a price on in terms of what you can learn and what you can take away from the experience. So
I experienced that over the summer. I went to the conventions are a big selling point for me, to be honest, because I went to the N-Scale convention in Nashville last summer, and I just it's the first time I've ever done that, and I just had an absolute blast. I got to meet Shane Wilson there. I got to meet the guys from Broadway Limited Imports and have a nice talk with them. Fox Valley Models. And I met I actually had met them before, but Spring Creek Model, their hobby shop, I got to meet them. But yeah, that kind of stuff is big for me.
Stay away from those guys. You spend too much time around them, you'll wind up buying a proto throttle.
Yeah.
I had actually met them a few years ago. My sister lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, and when we were out to visit her a few years ago, I stopped into Spring Creek. But yeah, you're right. They have a lot of nice stuff there.
That's a weird place, isn't it? Spring Creek Hobby or Model Railroad or whatever. What's it called? Spring Creek something or other. That is one weird ass place when you stop to think about it. I went out there with Tony Cook a few years ago, and I mean he lives about 5 hours away, and we drove and drove, and then you're out in the country, and out there in that part of the country, west of Omaha. It's just one little podunk town after another, and they're all interesting. And then
one of them in particular, I think, is Strang, Nebraska. If I remember correctly,
just like 22 miles from Dressler. Yep. And but I mean, here's this hobby store that would be fit in any large city setting. Like you'd expect it to be in any major city: Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, Houston. Pick any major city in the country, and you would not be surprised to find this hobby store there. And
Definitely.
yet, you get to Dressler, Nebraska, which doesn't even really. I think it has one restaurant out in the middle of a farm field, and there's this hobby store.
It's only slightly larger than Oval, Pennsylvania. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like it blows your mind. I would that's for model railroaders. Everybody needs to take someday go to Spring Creek Model Railroad for.
It's like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's out there, and yet it's like this massive hobby store, and it's just model railroading. Fantastic. We got to find something else to talk about because we basically turned this into a show now.
Yeah. I'll just mention, if you want the hotel rate for the convention, you got to sign up before April 12th.
Okay.
All right. So do you think your guys are staying in the hotel?
That I don't know. That's a good question because I'm not exactly sure where the convention is out there. I don't know. I would imagine it's probably close enough that most of them can just commute back and forth.
It's in Mars, Pennsylvania.
It's in the
Mars.
in the Doubletree.
Yep.
In Pittsburgh Cranberry, I go through there all the time. I can see that hotel from I-79 when I go past it. It's on the north side of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's where the Mario Lemieux sports complex
on the other. It's on the other side of the highway.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the time I met Mario Lemieux?
I don't think so. No.
Tom, have I ever told you?
You have not.
Do we have time for a story, Bruce?
Yeah, we got lots of network time left. The timer is still well in the green, so we're good.
You said you had to come up with another subject.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this story. So we drive back and forth to Florida. I drive more than my wife does, but every year she goes down in the fall, comes back at Christmas time to be with her boy and the family, and then I take her back there. So she makes 2 trips down every year to Florida, and I make other trips down there. But one year we're going on one of our, I think it was the after Christmas trip. And anyways, there's this gas station. It's called the Sheetz, which are common in Northeast. And we pull into this Sheetz gas station, which is like halfway between Erie, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh. Right on the main, and there's a big outlet mall on the others on that corner and everything. So we pull in there, and I go to the washroom. I get gas, and then I come in, and I go into the washroom, and she's got her drink, and then I get my drink, and I see her standing in line. And the line's like, 4 or 5 deep. And she's like 4th or 5th. And I walk up and I'm standing and I say to her, "So did you get a drink?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then she's like moving her eyes and I'm not paying attention, right? And I'm like, "What?" And "I got a drink." She said, "Did you get a drink?" And she's like, keeps tilting her head back. And I'm like, "Yeah, I got a drink. It's right here." And she's like,
God.
And she's like, go, and she keeps moving her. She said, "Is there anything else you want?" Look, and then she goes, "Look back there behind you at the donuts." And I'm like, "I don't want a donut."
I only want a drink. I don't need a donut. Yeah.
And by chance, the Pittsburgh Penguins had demolished the Maple Leafs the night before, and I turn around. And there's Mario Lemieux.
Oh wow!
Wow.
It's actually between the two times he played. He'd retired once and then he came back, so he was retired at this particular point. And I turn around and I'm looking at the donuts, and then I'm like, "You're Mario Lemieux." He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'm from Toronto, and I'm a lifelong Leaf fan. So would you like to go?" So I said to him, "Would you like to cut in? Because my wife and I are arguing." He says, "Well, if you don't mind." I said, "Well, you can't because you beat the Leafs last night."
Oh, that's great.
And he was a super nice guy. And then when he went out to his car was beside ours at the gas pumps, and I got a picture with him and everything. He was a super nice guy.
That's cool. Was that his first game back Because I remember his first came back when he came out of retirement. I was there, and it was the Leafs that they played and beat them. But I don't know if that was the one you saw him after.
I don't think he was playing. I think Pittsburgh was always beating the Leafs. But then I would tell you my Randy Carlyle story, but that's another whole different hockey story. So
okay, no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So now we refer to that as the Mario Lemieux sheets, because that's where we met Mario Lemieux.
And I bet he refers to it as the Lionel Strang sheets.
I think he may refer to it as that annoying little Canadian sheets.
So this is a professional. This is Mario Lemieux, hockey player, right? I know that, but professional athlete, and he's buying a donut.
He wasn't buying a donut. He was just in line behind us, and
he was trying to donuts.
She was trying to get me. No, he was in line behind us, and she was just trying to get me to turn around. And finally, she says, "Don't you?" Pointing at the donuts behind me. "Don't you want a donut?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want it." She just wanted me to turn around so I would realize Mario Lemieux was standing behind us.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Because I was going to say I was thinking of him actually like getting a donut. It was reminding me of that old Saturday Night Live sketch with John Belushi being the athlete, and he has the little chocolate donuts that he ate every day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, that was not.
All right. Well, whatever.
Nice try, though, Tom.
Yeah.
Seeing as how I'm telling stories about people standing in line, my son goes to a Chicago Cubs game, Wrigley Field. He hardly ever texts me when he was away, other than once in a while to make sure he's okay. And then all of a sudden I get a text, and he says, "Dad, guess who's behind me in line at the hot dog? No, guess who got mad at me in line at the hot dog stand?" I went, "I don't know." Next picture I see is him and the Reverend Jackson.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, geez.
he had gone to the washroom. His buddy held a spot in line, and he comes back and stands beside his buddy, and he feels a tap on his shoulder. And before he turns around, the guy goes, "Hey, you cut in line in here." And he turns around, and it's Jesse Jackson.
Oh, wow.
All right, now you tell a story, Brad. No, we're done with that. What's happening? Queso with the layout?
I'm putting up a lot of Scenic King backdrops all around the layout to try and get some measure of scenery in place and finishing infrastructure quarter. And we're gonna run Wednesday night. We're gonna run some trains.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Oh, wow. Cool.
We're not like formally operating. We're just gonna run some trains.
How many guys you got? Like just you, the regular 3 or 4 guys that are working on it?
James is coming over Wednesday night. He's bringing his buddy Mark with him.
Oh, Mark.
So it'll be 3 of us.
Oh, Mark's coming.
Mark's an electrician. Actually, he works for the Reading and Northern now as well. He used to work with James at Norfolk Southern, and he left NS a little while ago, and he's working for the Reading and Northern now, and seems to be enjoying his new workplace.
Is that the guy we met? Is that the guy I met at Springfield?
No, that was Troy.
Oh, that was Troy.
Yeah, that's James' other good buddy. He's not a railroader. He's a carpenter.
Oh, okay, but
very good carpenter.
But enjoys the hobby.
Oh yes, yeah. He's got. I haven't had the chance, but a couple of weeks ago, James took me over to his place to check out his layout, and he's into geared logging locomotives like Shays and Heislers and Climaxes and stuff, and he has this gorgeous curved mountain trestle that he scratch built, with all the sticks and the nut bolt washer castings and all that. And then he has all these Heislers and Shays and whatnot, and a bunch of steam locomotives. And we were running trains for a couple hours on his layout, just running stuff around in circles, and it was such a good time.
This hobby is, I can't get over it ever since I started this podcast. I mean, Brad, you're a classic example of what this podcast has meant to me is, for you to start listening to it halfway along and then become an avid listener and everything. This hobby has got to be way bigger than anybody can possibly imagine. Just way bigger.
I believe that's true now. And I think I told you before, if you had asked me that question 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said it's, there's hardly anybody doing it. But that has definitely, my opinion on that has definitely changed over the last, 3-4 years for sure.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think in relationship to the number of people on the planet, it's not that big. But if it's, 0.5% of the number of people, if it's 1% of the number of people in the United States, which is probably more than that, if it's 5%, it's got to be 5 out of every 100 people are interested in model railroading. That I would bet money on. Well,
yeah, I think so too.
That's 15 million people in the United States alone. I mean, everywhere I turn, there's somebody else. Like when, Tom, when you were interviewing Karen and Dwayne from the Reading Technical Society, I mean, that sounded like an interview to me right there. I mean, that layout sounds fantastic, what they've done. And, Karen talking about how they organize who's bringing what and this and that and the next thing. I mean, that whole thing, it's creating something to do for a whole bunch of people. It's just that I don't think we have any idea what we're dealing with here now. I really don't. I can't imagine it. I always get so excited. Then I'm like, I know that I'm just rambling. And then I thought, oh, geez, now I got to listen to this.
The crazy thing for me is I thought I was the only person, the only N scaler within a 50, 100 mile radius of here. And since we started the Iron City group, we've actually had some guys, one in particular that I went to high school with, who is an N scaler and has lived in this area for as long as I have. And I never even knew that he was even into the hobby. And we've been able to reconnect on through the Iron City N scale, even though we're both from the same little town here in north central Pennsylvania. We didn't know until the social media thing happened. So it's mind blowing, really.
You're both from the same. You both live in Oval, Pennsylvania.
We grew. He doesn't live here anymore. He still lives in the area, but wow. We both grew up in Oval, and went to grade school together right up through high school.
And I know we talked about some of this last week. You get what's happening here? You picking up?
No, no, I'm not. I'm a little slow, but I'll follow along.
I can only imagine your buddies listening to this, all rolling around on the floor, doubled over in laughter.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Listen to you. So your podcast, this today is May the 22nd. Your first interview was on Monday, May the 15th. So the following Monday, is now I say. So I know we covered some of this last week. You following me now?
Yeah, I get it now.
There you go.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
But in fairness to you, that was the scheduling was only done while we were on the program, because this has turned out to be a Monday free show, which means yeah, exactly. Which means our I don't know if you know this, Brad, but our sponsor for the podcast is Rapido Trains.
Could be
your fast track to monitoring fun.
Jeez.
Well, I think you guys just lost your sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now was that Kelly's fault?
No. It was.
No.
It was your fault. It was all your fault.
Responsibility for that one.
Absolutely. Tom,
I'm sorry.
It's not your turn, Tom.
Right
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
I know. I just haven't gotten to bust it out lately. I've been missing it.
Well, relax.
Well, then
your patience will be rewarded.
Yeah, exactly. Because the next time we say Rapido Trains,
I say your fast track to model railroading fun.
But you don't say I say.
No. Well, I'm just setting the stage for Tom so he understands.
Yeah.
So let's go.
No, never mind. Forget it.
It's only Lionel that has to say that, because if anybody else says it, you don't. There's no response.
Right. Just forget it now. You know what? You know what? Thanks to you, Brad. The podcast is going off the air.
Can we at least let Tom do his little jingle to make him happy?
Yeah, really.
Well,
wait. I thought everything was Kelly's fault. How did I get blamed?
Yeah, well.
That's by association.
Hang around, buddy. Your turn's coming.
Collateral damage.
All right.
Do you have, Brad, do you own any Rapido train stuff?
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
I have a couple of their GMD1 switchers, and I think it's an FP9. Is that what the other one that they make in NScale?
I don't know. They make an FP. They make an FP9.
FL9. FL9.
No, FP9. It says right here on their website, rapidotrains.com. It says FP9 is an N scale.
I always get those two mixed up. That's why I asked. But yeah, that's what I have.
Did they make the GMD switcher an N scale too?
Yeah,
the GMD one. Yeah,
the GMD one. Man,
yep.
I don't see that listed. I bet you that'd be a hot item on the old eBay market.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they run really, really well.
Do they? Yes,
they do.
Do you have any of their freight cars?
No, I don't yet, but I think I have to remedy that.
Yeah, exactly. Because we got to keep us in business. You know what? Next time you order something from them, tell them Lionel sent you.
Okay.
See if that helps.
All right. I'll do that.
We're counting on you.
Yeah, we're counting on you to tell them Lionel sent you.
All right. I'll be more than happy to do that.
Are you going to switch? Are you thinking of switching to HO scale so you can buy a 44-tonner?
I don't think I'll switch, but I have considered doing something in HO.
Have you?
I have, yeah.
I don't know. So you can get the 44-tonner?
Well, those are nice, but yeah, I'm wondering, I recently, how your close-up vision kind of goes overnight on you. That happened to me recently, and I'm wondering if I may not have to make the switch later on. So I can see what I'm working on. But
get yourself a magnifizer.
Yeah, I do. That's one of my other buddies from the Iron City N scale, Richard Shirey, said the same thing. So I do need to do that.
Yeah.
Is there any? Now you're not that far from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which of course is the home to the World Series,
Little League World Series.
Little League World Series.
Yes.
Which of course we talked about that. When did we talk about that, Brad?
Last week.
Attaboy.
He's a quick learn.
He is. I wonder if Toffee's figured anything out by now.
He has no idea. But...
he might by now. If he's probably, all your guys will probably want to listen to that one.
Oh yeah, that's right. As of last week,
you had a listening party, didn't you?
Yeah. How'd the listening party go?
Fantastic. It went fantastic.
You got some beer and some pizza and sat down and listened to the old AML podcast?
Yeah, Sal sat around the Victrola and
Iron City beer and Primanti Brothers sandwiches.
What's model railroading like around Williamsport?
There's I know there's a one HO scale club near here in a place called Castanea, which is on the former New York Central. It was the Beach Creek Railroad, but they have the old train station in Castanea that they have their, it's called the Clinton Central Model Railroad Club. That's an HO. That's a really nice HO scale club. And there are, there are a few, you'll like this part. Most of the people around here who I know who are in the hobby are former students of mine. So they're considerably younger than I am. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I would have to think that there'd be a rather halfway decent model railroading community in that area, given that Williamsport is not too far from Montoursville, the home of Bowser and English's model railroad supply.
Yeah. There have to, absolutely. That's a good point, because there have to be, a considerable number of us around here. I just, like I said, I don't know too many, but I'm sure there have to be. Yes.
So up until social media, were you just like a grumpy old man or something?
I'm still a grumpy old man.
Oh,
no, you should connect with other grumpy old men.
I just, like I said, when my brother and I did the hobby together when we were kids, and he kind of lost interest, and all of our friends lost interest, and so I just kind of thought, well, you're on your own, but I enjoy it even by myself, so I'm going to continue. but it is so much better when you have other people to enjoy it with.
Absolutely.
Changes the hobby entirely. Anybody
Now-
got anything else they want to talk about?
Yeah, Brad, you're the moderator of the Iron City Facebook page.
Yeah, I am in charge of dignity and decorum. Those guys like to goof off a lot, and I'm the serious one.
Okay.
You're the serious one?
That's what they always say when I say that. I don't understand that.
That's a low bar.
yeah. No, I am. There's Pat Moore, aka Tofi, is the head administrator of it because he started the group. There are 5 or 6 of us, like Mike DeCenzi, who I know he's a Patreon member and he has written emails to you guys before. He's a moderator. I'm a moderator. Richard Shirey, Kevin Squire. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. I think there's probably 5 or 6 of us who are moderators.
Pat's the other fellow, right?
Yeah, but we've given Pat a new nickname. It was just TOF, but since he retired from the Army, Lionel added an I for independent, so he's Toffee. Now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But yes, he's the modeler formerly known as the other fellow.
I'm trying to. My computer is just so sick. Now because we started here, I had to restart the whole thing. Now I got to re-sign into Facebook, and I did somehow I authorized 2. What do they call it? 2-factor authentication, and now
way to go!
Yeah, and I don't know what enter the 6-digit code from the text message we just sent to you. Well, you didn't send me a text message.
They did about 15, 20 minutes ago, and it's expired.
Yeah. It's like, you didn't send me one. I don't know what you're talking about. Just let me in, will you, for crying out loud.
Is that 2-factor stuff. I know why they do it, but it is a pain, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Didn't receive a code? No, I didn't. Text me a login. Use a text message. Text me a login code. A code was sent to your phone. Okay, I'm patiently waiting. Oh, look at that. One came. Well, hot diggity da. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's see. Oh,
for those playing at home, Lionel is entering the 6-digit code to get back into Facebook so we can see what is going on.
The password for this round is mackerel.
This is the good thing. This is on the free channel, but which is sponsored by Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Could be N, could be HO. Your fast track to fun with Rapido.
Oh my God! How are we going to get this guy to stop?
That was absolutely epic.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. That was something, all right.
He's got 2 shows coming up this Saturday at the Chuckle Hut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh boy.
My God. Well, it's all thanks to our pal David Hyde, who is he's the official French horn player of the AML network, and the only guy that has any class here. So now we have the jingles. He made the jingles, and they were pretty good. Yep. But they were very good. Not pretty good. They were very good. But I was leery of sending them to Jason Schron, the owner of Rapido Trains, because I'm thinking, man, we were just kind of screwing around when we made these. Like, I'm not sure he's going to like this or not, right? Because he has never interfered for one single second about all the stuff we do about Rapido Trains. He's just glad to be part of the podcast. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I should do this or send these to him. So anyways, finally, David Hyde keeps saying, how did Jason Schron like him? And finally, so then I sent him to Jason. I texted him to him. And like 2 minutes later, I get, where did you get these? These are fantastic. I went, yeah, I knew that.
That's why I sent them.
I mean, it's no Fairmount Funeral Homes, but it will do.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty good.
They are
and-
very
you-
good.
And you just heard them. You guys just heard them. So
Yes,
what did you think? What did you guys think?
It was good.
I think they're great. But Lionel, do you own any Rapido rolling stock or locomotives or anything?
Yes, I'm looking at something right now that I own of Rapidos.
Have you ever read through their instructions or the stuff that comes with any of their stuff?
Oh, their locomotive manuals are hilarious.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so they've got their manuals and everything are very tongue in cheek, let's say. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that that he would think that this is all awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
If you watch the new video that they just put out,
Oh, geez, that's hilarious.
oh, it's the drop test for the cars.
I was going to say something. So what did you think of the jingles, Brad?
I thought they were fantastic.
Attaboy, you're picking this up pretty quick.
I'm trying. I'm a little disappointed. I was a little slow on the uptake there when you first.
Hey, Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Yes, I can give out the email address. Our email address is modeler'slife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L like oval, not two L's like Williamson.
Whoa.
That was awesome.
That's out of the park.
That is gone.
It's gone.
That is gone to deep center.
Long fly ball. He's back to the track. This ball is gone.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Oh,
Whoa.
Wow.
That might be your best one ever.
I think so.
That
And
might
I
be.
was here to hear it. I'm on
Well,
it.
you're
Yeah.
the reason it came out. That's why.
You're the reason for everything, Brad. If it wasn't for you, everything wouldn't work as well.
I'm very
Thank
glad
you.
to hear that.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson.
You know,
Hey,
there are a bunch of guys at Iron City who were rolling on the floor laughing after they heard you say that.
Here, Mr. Williamson, I got you this drink that's why I was late for class. I got you this bottle of water.
Okay, thanks. Why doesn't it smell like water?
He's been treated with chemicals.
No, I never did that. I was always legit that way. I was a classic suck up. It was the only thing I could do well.
The only chance you had?
Yeah, it was the only chance I had of making it from one end of school to the other. Okay, and this is on the free channel. So if you didn't catch that email address, if you just go on our website.
And if you're not paying attention, rewind it, because that was a classic. That's an epic attempt by Kelly. So
Yeah.
if you missed it, rewind a few seconds, listen to it again, then come back.
Yeah, people have wondered for years why we kept him on the team, and we knew someday when the boys are up against it, and the brakes aren't
Bases
going their
loaded, 2 outs.
and the brakes aren't going their
The
way.
full count.
Just win one for the
I
gift.
can't believe
Can you
it.
hear my lips moving? Can anybody hear me talking? Jesus, Murphy.
Oh,
Holy
this is
moly.
great. Oh.
You guys in the Iron City Club, you should get out now while you're getting's good, or lighten your membership by one.
Anyone in particular?
No.
I was just going to say that I can't believe Oval, Pennsylvania actually got mentioned on a nationally renowned podcast.
There you go. Nice.
They should give you the key to the
Whoa.
village.
Yeah, you
They
can
should.
you can come back
To the
into the
house,
clubhouse.
right?
Yeah. So anyways, if you didn't catch the email address, if you go to our website, amodellerslife.com, and just scroll down a little bit, there'll be a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, somewhat like the way I look right now. And if you just click on that picture, boom, the email address is already filled in. All you got to do is fill in your subject line and your text, and you're ready to go. And we love to get emails, don't we, Bruce?
Absolutely, we love emails. We love reading emails. You send an email in, it will appear on Viewer Mail. We won't say when, but it will appear.
And whether it's positive or negative, we appreciate all
Exactly.
comments, positive or negative. If you got some constructive criticism, please feel free to speak up. And we love email. And Brad, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I asked you this question last week, but I'll ask it to you again. Have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
Yes.
Well, if you're
I have one, but I think I might want another one.
there, you go. If you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and scroll across the navigation bar to Other, and click on Other, there you'll find the AML Nation, and boom, you'll be in a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, anything you could possibly need. And then finally, Brad, you're a Patreon member.
Yes.
Is it well worth the money to be a Patreon member?
It sure is. Worth every penny.
Are you a $5 or $10 Patreon member?
10.
Yeah, so you're waiting for your T-shirt, just like everybody else.
Where's my T-shirt? Where's my T-shirt? Somebody said you get a T-shirt. Where's my T-shirt?
Yeah, about that.
Actually, I think I was working on it today, and I think I've finally come up with a good once-a-year system where I can make a list once a year and then be able to just keep firing them off. So yeah, I'm very excited. And plus we almost have the 5-year shirt done. So here's what's going to happen, Brad. As you go through the years, you're going to get your first year, second year, third year, fourth year T-shirt. Then on the 5th year, for being a $10 Patreon member, you're going to get a special year 5 shirt, and then we'll repeat years 1 through 4, and then there'll be a 10-year shirt. So that's the way that's going to shake out.
That sounds great.
Because if I just keep making different T-shirts for every single year, eventually everybody will have to leave the office and there'll only be T-shirts in there.
I understand.
And I've decided that when I leave this good earth and I'm given a job by the big man upstairs, my job will be, in eternity, I'll be mailing out T-shirts. That's what I'll be doing, is mailing out T-shirts. Because if I'm not doing it for the AML, I'm doing it for the one more year thing. So.
Yeah.
Why did I start? So anyways, for those of you who aren't Patreon members, for just a few cents a day, it's basically right at this moment 16 cents a day, but I think that's going to go up a little bit eventually when I get around to that job as well. Mostly the thing I concentrate on is the podcast, because I know everybody looks forward to them every Monday and Tuesday, and I would hate like heck to ever miss out on being regular. So that's what I concentrate on the most. And I'm very proud of the fact that for many, many years, every Monday and Tuesday, one comes out. Granted, some of them aren't very entertaining like this one, but they still come out. But this is on the
delivering
free.
the product. You're delivering the product as promised.
Yeah. Hey, and what did you want for free?
Exactly. What were you expecting?
Yeah, what were you expecting for free? More than this? And we haven't even done the intro yet. So anyways,
No.
if you like more, if you'd like twice as much podcasting every week, just go on the website and click on Patreon, and boom, it'll take you to where you sign up. And not only will you get a free podcast on Mondays, you will get another podcast on Tuesdays, which is doubly entertaining. I call that kind of like the Mayberry of the AML. It's kind of like, sitting on the front porch with your family and people you know. It's warm and fuzzy over there on the Patreon side. It's different, is what it is. It's different.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Different.
And you know what, Brad? Here's
What?
big news for you. Your interview last week came out ahead of the Alan Keller interviews.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I talked to Alan Keller today, and we're going to start. He thinks he's only going to be on for one episode. And he's already annoyed at me because it took me a while to get him his headset, and then I lost his email address. So we've got him all set up. He's perfect. He's well annoyed at me now. So we're good. It's going to be
Beautiful.
And he thinks it's what I want to do. I think, didn't you say, Tom, he made like 60 different videos or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should do one episode for every video he did.
There you go.
We just somebody's got to tell him, Kelly.
Yeah, blame Kelly.
Yeah, blame Kelly. All right, that's it. Are you ready, Brad?
I am ready, Lionel.
So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Small town physics teachers.
4x4x4 car crushing action Saturday at the Spectrum. Burning motor coaches battle it out in the mud bog with special guest stars Heather Locklear and Knight Rider Car Kit.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Yes, I can give out the email address. Our email address is modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L like oval, not two L's like Williamson.
Whoa.
That was awesome.
That's out of the park.
That is gone.
It's bunk.
That is gone. The deep center.
Long fly ball. He's back to the track. This ball is gone.
It's another Lincoln Homer.